A new dating trend called penny dating, and I think Jason Goodman has done this by accident, actually advocated for it. It is being called the most toxic dating trend of all time.
Thank you, Jerry.
It is.
When we saw it, we thought, Jason Goodman.
I mean, you did say this. This is stuff you said that helps keep women on their toes. Here's a lady on TikTok who has since gone viral, 10+ million views, talking about penny dating that you heard from another guy.
Imagine a girl is a piggy bank. In order to get her interested, obviously at first.
So that's the first start.
A woman is a piggy bank.
Is a piggy bank, all right?
Not a human being with a soul who has parents and friends and
It's
maybe
just
children.
an analogy.
Yep, here we go.
Still.
You have to be feeding her $100 bills. But putting in $100 bills is a lot of work. So eventually you reduce it to 90. It's only 10%. So if she tries to bring it up, she's going to sound crazy at this point. The next thing you do is you bump it back up to 95. Now, instead of feeling like she lost 5, which is how she would feel if you went directly from 100 to 95, suddenly she feels like she's gained 5. Basically, you just keep repeating this cycle and weaning her off your effort until you get to the point where you're giving her pennies and suddenly she's excited to receive a nickel.
You never said that
That's
before.
a near tangent. It's not exact. I say don't be generous at all.
Ever,
For the
even
most
in the
part.
beginning, in the lustful.
Because the beginning will set that bar, like she's saying. So I don't think you should set that bar that high. You got to set the bar low, and then.
But you would never get her though if you're not putting any sort of effort whatsoever.
No effort.
That's the
Yeah,
analogy
but
here.
it can't be like over the top, like at the beginning you're giving her flowers, because then it just breaks off to nothing. And what you need to do, in my opinion, especially if it's a long-term relationship, is you just don't ever buy flowers or anything like that, ever. And then out of the blue, not when you did something wrong or anything like that, then you bring home the flowers. And it's so shocking to their system, and they're going to think, what did you do? It's like, I was just thinking about you, that's all. That it's like an overwhelming sensation of love that actually sets you higher than when you first started.
I can't decide which one's more toxic. I really can't.
Yeah, if you're purposely trying to manipulate somebody, it's toxic.
It's not manipulating.
Yes,
it
if you're like,
is.
oh, I buy her flowers, but no, I got it to her 2 weeks ago. She's going to get used to this.
It's
That's
acknowledging
manipulation.
that people get desensitized. In fact, everybody says you say I love you all the time. I love you all the time.
Yes.
Because you never know when. Obviously, that's been a lot lately. But I've read studies on this that it kind of desensitized the I love yous, and they don't mean as much because it's almost like you're just saying it out of habit. And I don't think you should say it out of habit. I should say it when you mean it.
I agree with say it when you mean it, but I don't think anybody on their deathbed has ever said, I said I loved him too much.
Right. I don't think
Nobody,
you have to say
will
that.
never say that.
Plus,
who would ever say that? But if it's a desensitized thing, it certainly doesn't mean as much. It might not feel as good every time you say it.
It does. It's nice to hear.
Also, I think, and I have experience with this, that if you are, if your love is contingent upon what's going on at the moment, and you're not going to say I love you because you don't feel it in that moment because you're arguing, that's a problem.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
You should, I think when things aren't going well, it's more when you should really think about what you have and then make sure they know. Otherwise, you have people walking on eggshells not knowing what's going on.
You should be their safe space,
yeah.
which is what they say in all of the relationship things we talk about, is that you always know that the basis is I love you.
And I'm here for you.
And
I'm
I'm
not,
here for
not
you.
going anywhere. But if you kind
Yes.
of make them guess, that's really
No,
bad.
I'm not saying make them guess, but I think that would be even more powerful if you don't say it every single minute on habit. And all of a sudden, let's say you're going through a tough situation, the other person's going through a tough situation, or even you're together going through a tough situation with your relationship, but then you say and reassure them how much I love you is very powerful.
I really want to get a therapist.
I know.
Preferably Dr. Laura. I listen to her a lot. But I would like to get a therapist on and have you explain it. Your theory, Jason.
Yeah.
Because
That's not going to go well with a therapist.
Exactly my point.
Self-aware of you.
Maybe some of it with that.
Exactly my point.
And Jason, you're not. But what's interesting is you're saying things that are true. So that's the hard part is what you're saying would work, but it's not the right way to do things.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. Is it not the right way? I mean, I think there could be an argument made that if you're constantly just saying the word "I love you" and there's no meaning,
If you don't
it's out
feel-
of
yeah.
habit. I think if you really, when you say it, when you really mean it, is more substance. I think that part there's some argument about that.
Well, maybe
some of the other parts with never giving them flowers forever, that's a problem.
and not starting your relationship that way.
And I will tell you this off the record. Well, I guess we're
don't
on.
say it.
We're on the record.
We couldn't be more on the record.
We're literally on a microphone.
We won't tell anybody.
Can we turn it off?
Shh, we won't.
I know
It's our
that-
secret.
It's just us.
I know that Jared is going to therapist, right?
Yes.
Because of things you're dealing with.
It's so
Life,
many.
man.
It's
Life.
life.
Katie has been to therapists many times for
still.
alone, right? Couples, just to keep it fresh.
Just alone, but it
Okay.
started as
People get
postpartum,
defensive
and then
when you say couples, because
I would, but right now I'm just really selfish, and I want it to just be all about me.
Yeah.
You know,
have you
go
ever
in
went
there.
to any type of therapist, Matt? You don't have to answer a HIPAA
I
law.
have, yes.
HIPAA law.
Really?
Yeah, when I was younger, and then I did couples counseling before we got married.
Okay,
Yeah.
before. So I think at times couples counseling can be probably beneficial even if there's no issues, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I've been to many therapists, many of couples counseling, and they have a similar way. They might have different approaches, but there's a similar way, right? None of that really amounted to anything for us or for me over the years until, on a non-religious way, I talk to and I hear the pastor talk. Not religiously, but the way he interprets it. So there's different ways of approaching everything. You know, they might say, no, saying it that way is not, that's what you shouldn't do that way. And some might say yes. So there are different approaches that can be different for everyone.
Okay, how about this? I would love to get your pastor on the air.
Oh, gosh.
And have you explain your theory and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Because would he
Oh,
agree
yeah,
with
he's
it?
not going to like that.
Jason would fumble his words
Yeah.
so much.
He's not going to like that because
He's
he's
like,
all...
I and you make me,
Me and
and you
it's
make
you,
I.
but
I don't-
yeah.
Jason can't function around this dude. There's no way he's
Well,
going to be
I
able
did
to
much
clearly
better
explain his therapy.
yesterday.
You did better at
You
lunch
did.
I did
yesterday.
much better.
Oh,
And we
good.
went deep. I went all out, man. I pulled out all the stops.
Wow.
I think what Jason
I
forgets,
did.
and I think I just remembered this.
No, I did. I pulled it all out.
All of
and
it.
I backed him in a corner.
Oh, that's good.
And I made him answer some very difficult questions. I'm not going to talk about it here, but very off the air, very difficult. Anyway, go ahead.
I remember Jason and I
Yeah, me too.
distinctly remember being at Mexico restaurant that used to be down the street. It's not there anymore.
Yes, yeah.
But just me and you, and we had the best, deepest life and religious conversations of all
Oh,
time. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't giving you advice. You just asked questions. But
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was like it went.
Because there's a different interpretation that I have
Yeah.
for some reason. And it's kind of upsetting the way I think like that. But then the questions are meaningful
It's
sometimes.
okay to question.
Yeah.
But I think the difference with your pastor Jonathan saying things that's related to relationships where you kind of took it in more is that you're also not sitting in a room where you're both at counseling together like who's right, who's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a passive thing where you're like, oh, this is just good advice. You're not in a defensive posture.
That's
Sometimes
true.
you go to couples counseling and it's like, please, I hope they're agreeing with me or I don't want to be wrong. Or,
And you want to be
100%.
heard.
Yeah,
you want to be heard and
like-
understood.
And hoping that they will take in things and they can make things better. Yeah.
100% true on that aspect. But I've also gone online a lot of times to ask questions about certain relationship things or the way I feel, and I have seen other people speak. So, you know, I'm not talking about the sit down with Jonathan. I'm talking about just the way he's speaking, and I've watched other people speak and say their spiel, right? But when he does it, whether it's a more relatable and personal way, it's just a huge difference.
You said it made a big impact.
Honestly, it's the biggest impact. It just unfortunately has to be with a pastor.
Or fortunately.
I just hate you do this for a living.
Hey, this is
You
who
know
you
what I'm
are.
saying?
And I'm real hesitant to say anything here because Jason will say to me, Katie, don't paint me into a religious
Don't
corner.
do that.
Yeah.
So,
And
I think Jason got mad the other day. I said, I've never had lunch with a religious leader ever.
ever.
Like I never meet with my pastor.
Not
I
that
might
it's
be
bad
someone as a
thing.
friend who has responsibilities at my church, but it wasn't like having lunch with a pastor. Jason had lunch with his pastor more, and I've been going to church my whole life.
Yeah.
And when I said it, he was kind of like, and he like slammed his hand like, whatever. And I'm like, no,
Just
I'm just
core
saying,
life.
your life is changing.
I don't know how it all.
It's changing for the better.
It is.
I don't even know how I had lunch with him in the first place. I can't even remember. How did that ever come about?
don't know.
Divine intervention.
But-
You want his autograph, didn't you?
What it was.
But I do know that I pulled out the stops. I asked the tough questions, and it worked. I mean, I'm shocked.
He's no longer
It's
a
worked.
pastor.
There's something.
Bet my match.
You know what, Jason? You got a point.
This whole God thing's overrated.
Let's go to Mexico. Get working.
Temptation.
I get a
I
margarita.
always try to stay 3 steps ahead when I know I'm going into a confrontation. Not that it was a confrontation, but a confrontation.
He legit met you for
I know.
lunch. It was not a confrontation.
I know.
Ask
You
your
wouldn't even
pastor.
consider
If
a confrontation.
If I know I'm going into a confrontation, if I know I'm going in a heated meeting, if I
have a
know
confrontation
I'm
later.
going into
12:30.
something there, I'm going to have to possibly get an answer that I'm going to anticipate that I try to prove somebody wrong. I try to stay 3 steps ahead. So I know where it was going, and I was 3 steps ahead. So I really pushed the envelope. And there was a couple moments that I don't want to get into, but there was a couple moments that I was just like, how is this possible? Because we are so freaking different. We couldn't be more different. And at the same time, so uniquely the same.
Wow.
And there was
His epiphany.
It's like we're all
an
God's
epiphany.
children or
Don't
something.
say more evidence.
Weird.
No.
We're all the
But there
children
was
of
a couple
God.
things that was said that I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I mean, are you kidding me right now?
In a
How
good
is
way or a
this
bad way?
Good
Yeah.
way.
Okay.
I was like, how is this possible? You know, this guy comes in, he's like, I love when it rains. I'm like, I hate when it rains. I hate when it rains. I love when it rains. Gets me focused. I hate this weather. I love this weather. I'm like, completely different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I love being in nature by myself fishing. I hate being by myself in nature.
Yeah.
You know, but then at the same time, there were some distinctly different things that were the same that I was like, is this a sign? Is this evidence?
Yeah.
Wow.
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 Or maybe not.
Get that thought out of my
And I
head.
think what's happened is Katie, me, Squid, and Matt have prepared you
No.
for this moment.
Yes.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
moment? There's no moment. I
Oh,
feel,
there was a moment.
there's some moments.
Everything
I'm
you're
gonna tell
saying
you-
is a moment.
I'm
I'm
hearing
going to tell
moments.
you right
Moments,
now,
very-
though.
lots of moments.
My belief that there is or isn't a God still remains the same.
Okay.
The same? It hadn't moved at all?
I think
mean,
that could
it moves
be.
slightly each way every
Okay.
day, every hour, every minute in my mind that it drives me crazy.
But
yeah.
his mind is expanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
Well, good luck with your
Wow.
pastor. And we were earlier talking about penny dating.
Oh,
No, because it all relates.
It does.
It all relates. But one of the things they're saying is we shouldn't be manipulating people.
Right.
Mhm.
And one of the big problems that men are doing with the penny dating is where they give you all the stuff at the very beginning, and then they take it slowly away. That's love bombing at its finest, and that's extremely dangerous.
But they can afford it.
Huh?
Maybe they can't afford it. It's like they threw everything on a credit card and they're like, I can't give you any
No,
more.
I mean
I'm
you
maxed
want to
out.
like impress somebody, but like if
Yeah.
you're trying to do over the top things that are unhealthy, or you're saying like I love you and you've been together for 2 weeks, or or you're trying to buy some expensive trip and you've known them for a week, that's love bombing.
But
'Cause you
also-
can't keep that up, and then especially if you're doing it on purpose.
That's my point right
because
there.
you know
Yes.
either because you're insecure, you know I have to do this for them to be interested.
Yep.
Because who I am is not enough, or you're doing it because they're like I'm gonna start taking it away and give it back, and then she's gonna feel lucky because I'm keeping her on her toes.
Well, let's face it.
That is the key point right there. When you start to do it on purpose,
purpose.
that is where it becomes extremely
But
toxic.
you don't think on purpose that you act different when it's a new relationship?
well,
you
because
act
you're
differently.
naturally excited
Yes,
about
you're
it.
not trying to
exactly.
manipulate
Yeah,
though.
you're not-
No,
but-
but you might have not have like I wouldn't have purchased this normally, but I can. And you think differently, and when you're in love
Those
and
aren't
lust,
bad intentions.
but when you're in love and lust,
Yes, but the bad intentions are.
We have cameras in here.
Yes, they're going to know.
You don't have to point at me.
oh,
You just pointed at me. They're gonna see on the camera
Love
anyway.
and lust.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
The bad intention, though, it's like when you're excited, you say, I want to buy. Okay, I wouldn't normally buy this, but I'm going because you're excited. The minute it turns to, let me try to get away with this, or
Right.
I'm going to intentionally turn it down. I'm going to turn it down a bunch of notches. That's where you have a lot of problems.
Or if you're saying, you know, I feel insecure about how they feel about me, so I'm gonna tell them I love them in the first week or two because that will make them know that I'm really serious. But you're really doing it because you're insecure.
you're insecure.
right? Like the way you're doing with your pastor.
Yeah.
It's love bombing, really.
I'm not.
No,
That's messed up.
I'm
No,
not.
I think you're more nervous
Not.
with him than you probably were on any first date.
I was super nervous, but if for
You
some,
flung rice on his face. You did. I know, but because you were so nervous.
but I was much more. I was calm because I think I was exhausted yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get much sleep the night before. But I was very calm with this time. Very calm.
Mm-hmm.
Very deep. Like the deepest of the
Now
deep.
you're just breadcrumbing us,
Yeah.
is what it is. You're giving us just
I'm gonna
enough
tell
to
you off
really.
the air.
You will?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was overall a good thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm still torn, but yeah.
The poor guy seriously just thought they were going to lunch.
Yeah, he's like,
he didn't know
yeah.
all this.
I didn't either.
It's like I like eating overly healthy food. and leaving and being hungry. That's fine.
Which should be a red flag.
Well, you know what the funny part is? Right off the bat, the fact that I go to Core Life all the time.
Yeah.
All the time in Greensboro.
Oh
by
my
the way.
God, your epiphany is that you both like Core Life?
No, it's not an epiphany, but it
Hard to
is.
find two people.
It is odd because
You have coupons too.
see, that's why I'm not going to say anything because I get made fun of.
Oh,
That's
please.
That wasn't the main epiphany, but there is something there when he goes to Winston-Salem for the most part. And
Yeah.
that's where he dines and everything else. And he just happened to discover Core Life one day, and he drives all the way to Core Life because he loved. And I'm sitting there by myself a week later after we met for lunch. And he's like, "You like this too?" And I'm like, "Well, there's another place called Chopped." He's like, "Oh, not." Well, I don't want to say, but he does. His opinion not as good. And we just like it is like that. I said there's uniquely very similar, same things with a big difference.
Some would say God is intimately involved in our lives.
Some would.
whether we believe it or not.
I'm also beginning to think none of it was as deep as he's making it out to be.
Okay, then that's
it's
why
over.
I don't want to
He's
tell
like, do
you.
you think Bill Belichick will go to the Chargers?
It's like, I like Core Life over Chopped.
Oh my God, there's a God. There must be a God.
You have Nike socks on?
I saw the birth of my children. Whatever.
Wait.
You like Chopped?
Do you like Costco? I like Costco.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, you can say that. And that's nice.
Do you like having fun? Me too. What?
Yeah.
Does your house have a front and back door? You have 4 tires on your car?
Did you drive here?
Do you say the word hello? Me too.
Wow. Let your personality shine, Katie. By saying,
It is. I know. I am the most me I've ever been.
yes, that's scary. That is scary.
What we're trying to say is we're happy for you.
And I already told you about the Core Life thing before, and that wasn't the conversation.
I got you.
Okay.
I am curious.
But now I am breadcrumbing you because I'm not going to. Maybe you should just stay between us because it was so deep. James, you thought we were deep at Mexico, didn't you? Think we were deep
We
at
were.
Mexico?
No,
Okay,
yeah.
well, there's a reason why we haven't been that deep since.
Yeah.
Yeah, so keep that in mind.
Oh,
See, that's
punishment.
That's an abrasive
No,
type of behavior.
On a religious life level.
How do you
because,
remember what we
because
talked
of the,
about? I
Because
don't.
of the reaction back, like this.
I was very open with you that day.
Yes.
I've always been open
Vulnerable.
off the air.
Yeah.
About beliefs or thoughts, and also understanding people don't believe the same that I do. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can teach Pastor Jonathan a thing or two if he wants. If he wants to
please
meet up
don't.
and have a battle royale.
Please don't.
Bible bashing. No, that's like the worst thing ever.
Please
You turn
don't.
to James right now. You probably don't have it memorized, do you? Oh, you like Costco too? Never mind. I'm just assuming Pastor Jonathan's nicer than all of us.
Like,
Oh, yeah. That's
yes,
fair.
he
Way.
is actually.
Yeah, so
much nicer. And
Right.
Never
more
even met the man, and
much
I know.
nicer.
Yeah.
And he is. I mean, he is a regular guy too, which is shocking.
Yeah.
No
And
way.
he has because I'm sure the religious, like compared to your church, Jerry, is probably not as strict
Oh,
in
I
some
don't
of the
know.
beliefs or whatever.
Maybe. I
But
don't
yeah, he is a very nice guy.
Well,
Very, very nice guy.
Well, Thanksgiving is here.
Gosh, I'm
Have
gonna
you-
go jump in a pool in Mexico and go
Get
crazy.
baptized.
I'm gonna go into the depths of. I'm gonna barely touch Satan when I'm in Mexico, just to prove that what
good.
you're doing is driving me up.
Tempt him.
Yeah. Depravity on hand. I got it.